Chapter 1. A Quiet Life Disrupted. Emma Thompson had always preferred the shadows to the spotlight. At 32, she lived in a cozy but unremarkable apartment in the suburbs of Chicago, where the winters were harsh and the summers fleeting. Her days revolved around her job as an administrative assistant in a small marketing firm downtown. The office was a nondescript building with fluorescent lights that buzzed faintly, cubicles lined with motivational posters, and the constant hum of printers and keyboards. Emma's life was predictable. Wake up at 6:30, brew a cup of black coffee, take the L train to work, handle emails and schedules, and return home by 6:00 to read a book or watch a quiet drama on TV. She had few friends, no pets, and no drama. It suited her just fine. That all changed on a crisp Monday morning in early spring. The office buzzed with whispers as the staff gathered in the conference room. Their old boss, Mr. Hargrove, a stern man in his 60s with a perpetual frown, had retired abruptly. In his place stood Daniel Harper, a 40-year-old transfer from the company's New York branch. Daniel was tall, with salt and pepper hair, warm hazel eyes, and a smile that could light up the dimmest room. He wore a tailored suit that spoke of quiet confidence, and his voice was soft, almost melodic, as he introduced himself. "Hello, everyone," Daniel said, his tone inviting rather than commanding. "I'm excited to join this team. I've heard great things about your work, and I look forward to getting to know each of you." He made eye contact with everyone, including Emma, who sat in the back row, her notebook clutched tightly. When his gaze met hers, she felt a fleeting warmth, but she dismissed it as nerves. After the meeting, Daniel made the rounds, shaking hands and asking names. When he reached Emma's desk, he extended his hand. "You must be Emma. I've read your reports. They're impeccable." She shook his hand, murmuring a quiet thank you, and returned to her work. He was just her boss, after all, nothing more. Chapter 2. Sparks in the Everyday. Weeks turned into months, and Daniel proved to be a breath of fresh air in the stuffy office. Unlike Mr. Hargrove, who barked orders, Daniel led with kindness. He brought donuts on Fridays, remembered birthdays, and always asked about weekend plans. The team flourished under him, productivity rose, and morale soared. Emma, ever the observer, noticed how he made everyone feel valued. He complimented her on her organizational skills, laughed at her rare jokes, and once even helped her carry a stack of files when her arms were full. It started subtly. Emma found herself looking forward to mornings, anticipating his "Good morning, Emma" as he passed her desk. His voice lingered in her mind during lunch breaks. One afternoon, while fixing a jammed printer together, he stood close enough for her to catch the faint scent of his cologne, a mix of sandalwood and citrus. "You're a lifesaver," he said with a grin, and her cheeks flushed. At night, alone in her apartment, Emma replayed these moments. She told herself it was nothing, just admiration for a good leader. But then came the dreams, innocent at first, of shared coffees and conversations, but growing warmer. She pushed them away, focusing on her routines. Yoga classes twice a week, visits to the local library, and calls to her sister in Seattle. Yet Daniel's face kept appearing in her thoughts. One rainy Tuesday, he stopped by her desk. "Emma, you seem a bit off today. Everything all right?" His concern was genuine, his eyes searching hers. "Yes, just the weather," she lied, her heart racing. That evening, she stared at her reflection in the mirror, whispering, "Get a grip, Emma, he's your boss." Chapter 3. The Weight of a Ring. The turning point came during a team lunch. Daniel was sharing stories from his New York days when Emma noticed it, a simple gold band on his left ring finger. It gleamed under the restaurant lights, a stark reminder. Married. Of course he was. Why hadn't she seen it before? Her stomach twisted, and the salad she'd been eating suddenly tasted like ash. Back at the office, she buried herself in work, but the knowledge gnawed at her. That night, she cried into her pillow, feeling foolish. "How could I let this happen?" she thought. Love had crept in uninvited like ivy on a wall, wrapping around her heart. She vowed to forget, to maintain distance. But the next day he was there again, smiling, asking about her weekend. "I visited the art museum," she said flatly. "Sounds peaceful," he replied, his eyes lingering a second too long. The pain grew. Meetings became torture. She'd steal glances at his profile, memorizing the curve of his jaw, the way he adjusted his glasses. Once their hands brushed while passing documents and electricity shot through her. "Sorry," he murmured. "No problem," she replied, her voice steady despite the storm inside. Chapter 4. Secrets in the Shadows. Emma's secret love became her constant companion. She confided in no one, not her sister, not her few friends. At work, she was professional, but inside, turmoil raged. Daniel seemed to notice her quietness. "You've been distant lately," he said one evening as they worked late on a project. The office was empty, the city lights twinkling outside the windows. "I'm fine," she assured him, but her eyes betrayed her. He sat on the edge of her desk, his presence overwhelming. "Emma, you're more than just an employee to me. You're special." The word hung in the air, heavy with meaning. Her breath caught. Special. No one had ever said that to her. She wanted to pour out her feelings, but instead she nodded. "Thank you, Daniel." That night she paced her apartment, replaying his words. Hope flickered, dangerous and bright. But reality crashed in. She pictured the ring, the life he had outside these walls. Chapter 5. A Chance Encounter. Seeking solace, Emma spent a Saturday at Lincoln Park. The cherry blossoms were in bloom and families picnicked on the grass. She sat on a bench, book in hand but unread, lost in thought. Then a familiar voice carried on the wind. "Come on, kids, let's feed the ducks." She looked up. There was Daniel hand in hand with a beautiful woman in her late 30s, her auburn hair catching the sun. Two children, a boy about 7 and a girl around 5, ran ahead, laughing. Daniel scooped up the girl, twirling her as she giggled. The woman, his wife, leaned into him, their family a picture of joy. Emma's world tilted. She averted her gaze, heart pounding. They didn't see her and she slipped away quietly. At home, she collapsed on the couch, tears flowing freely. "He's happy," she realized. "Without me." The image haunted her, Daniel as a father, a husband, not just her boss. Chapter 6. Confessions in the Dark. Monday arrived too soon. Emma dragged herself to work, avoiding eye contact, but Daniel approached. "You look troubled," he said gently. She shrugged it off, but later, during another late night, the dam broke. Alone in the conference room, he confessed, "Emma, I feel something for you. It's wrong, I know. I'm married, but you make me feel alive again." Her eyes widened. "Daniel, I feel the same." The words escaped before she could stop them. They sat in silence, the air thick with unspoken desires. He reached for her hand, but she pulled back. "We can't," she whispered. "Your family." He nodded, pain etched on his face. "I know." Chapter 7. The Path to Letting Go. In the weeks that followed, they maintained a professional facade, but the tensions simmered. Emma sought therapy, journaling her feelings, and gradually she focused on herself. She joined a book club, took painting classes, and reconnected with old friends. The pain didn't vanish overnight, but it dulled. One evening, alone in her apartment, she made a vow. "I deserve love that's free, not hidden." She applied for a promotion in another department, seeking distance. Daniel noticed her growth. "You're thriving," he said one day with a bittersweet smile. Chapter 8. A New Beginning. Months later, Emma stood at a crossroads. She'd been offered a job at a new firm, a fresh start. As she packed her desk, Daniel stopped by. "I'll miss you," he admitted. "Take care of yourself." She smiled genuinely. "You too." In her new life, Emma blossomed. She dated casually, traveled to Europe, and wrote short stories about love's complexities. Daniel remained a fond memory, a lesson in self-love. She learned that true happiness came from within, not from stolen moments. As she walked into her future, Emma whispered, "I'm free."